my brand at the beginning wasn't something that was very much in my control. I kind of became infamous by accident. I entered the adult industry in October of 2014, and very, very quickly, I was pressured to perform in a video where the context was that I was an Arab veiled woman, and that was it. The intent was to mm, exploit the fact that I was Arabic and spoke Arabic, and I went through with it. And not very long after, I would say like maybe a couple hours after it premiered, the avalanche started. Every news outlet picked it up, and everybody had an opinion on it, and it felt like from there on my fate was sealed. And all of a sudden, I was completely out of control of my image, my reputation, my intentions. Every single thing about me was being misunderstood. I feel like a lot of people have slutty phases when they're 20, 21, like in college, and unfortunately mine was in 4K.
How did it become clear to you that like you couldn't really go back to normal life in the way that you wanted?
I was working at a law office, and I started to feel like a distraction in the office. Anyone who would come in, I there would be whispers in the waiting room, and if other attorneys came to visit from other firms, there would be whispers within that, and I just started to feel very much like a distraction, and uncomfortable. And that's when I realized, like, this isn't going to change. This isn't going to go anywhere. This isn't going to get better. I don't like feeling this way. I don't like the women that I work with looking at me a certain way, and I especially don't like the men looking at me a certain way. Because it's a bit of like a zoo animal. Like it's that type of fascination and those type of whispers. Not necessarily to say that it was abusive or disrespectful, but it was just like that's not something that I wanted to keep dealing with. And I reopened social media, and I decided to actually try to be an influencer and to be someone who was a public person if that was the fate that I had sealed for myself.
So, and in that sense, when we talk about what your brand was, really we just mean sort of how people knew you.
Yes, the brand that they formed in their head, because there was no intention, there was no purposeful intention behind that brand. And I think that where I am now, mentally, emotionally, just on every level, is a complete 180 from who I was. I want my brand to represent being a contradiction. That's my brand.